Intermittent reinforcement, and this is in regard to the safe relationship training that I've been involved in, and the series of videos that I'm giving out. And intermittent reinforcement is a very important subject to understand if we want to have safe relationships in our lives, and also if we want to, importantly, be able to identify if someone is trying to condition us, possibly leading to an unhealthy relationship somewhere down the line. So in order to understand intermittent reinforcement and its role in unhealthy relationships, we have to understand that conditioning is much more effective if reinforcement is given intermittently and not continually. And the reason for that is that when someone is grooming us for an unhealthy relationship, and possibly a relationship that is on their terms, what they will do is they will condition us, which means that they lead us into a situation and relationship via a reward and punishment system whereby we are conditioned, and this is how conditioning works, by receiving a reward for good behaviour or behaviour that the abuser wants us to engage in, and a form of punishment when we don't come in line with that behaviour. So it's training us, really, in order that we behave in a certain way using a conditioning process. And at the beginning of the conditioning process, via the honeymoon periods when we are receiving lots of good stuff from the other person, then we are being sent the message that there is lots of good stuff on offer, and possibly that this stuff will be given to us right throughout the relationship. This is the message that we are being sent. However, with unhealthy relationships and abusive relationships, the good stuff tends to dwindle off over time, and in between there are unhealthy behaviours placed intermittently, so that we are gradually groomed and gradually introduced to, and therefore we get used to, unhealthy behaviours via disrespect, etc. And this is so that we're not given a barrage of abusive behaviours initially and early on, otherwise we're not going to hang around for that, unless someone has been conditioned in a prior relationship to abusive behaviour anyway. So, intermittent reinforcement works because the reinforcement is given at intermittent stages. And as the abusive relationship moves on, the intermittent reinforcement becomes sparser and sparser until we become used to and conditioned to abusive behaviour on a consistent basis. And so we sort of get warmed up to that abuse and disrespect slowly, over time and gradually, so that we become acclimatized to it. And so we get used to reinforcement coming intermittently rather than continually, which is the case in healthy relationships, where we receive reinforcement in a healthy relationship continuously throughout the relationship. But people who have often been in abusive situations are not used to healthy dynamics, and therefore they're quite used to intermittent reinforcement, and they're quite used to receiving disrespect on an ongoing basis. And so it's quite important to look at the relationship dynamics as far as how much reinforcing and affirming one is receiving, and whether that is on a continual basis over a long period of time, even after a commitment has been made, and the person is consistently reinforcing the relationship in a healthy manner and not introducing these unhealthy dynamics intermittently, so that at the end of the day we're actually possibly not receiving any reinforcement, any affirmation at all, but it's all disrespect and it's all abuse. And the purpose for this also is so that the person, the victim, gets used to having to work harder and harder and harder, and therefore giving more and more and more in order to receive the good stuff, which is getting less and less and less. And so it's a sort of weaning process where the victim is getting weaned off of healthy behaviour and weaned onto unhealthy behaviour and abusive dynamics over a long period of time. And some people are quite willing to wait a long period of time in order for the person to be conditioned to this abusive behaviour, because that is who the abuser is and that's what they want out of the relationship. So I hope that's helpful, and that you're able to use that tip in future to help to keep you safe and happy. Bye bye.